hear you very well over here.
Okay, are we ready?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Black Table Leadership Forum. We're going to be having a discussion on oversight and accountability. With us we have, before we go into our panelists, just going to give a quick overview of some house rules. If you have any questions, please submit your questions in the Q&A section of Zoom, and we'll be able to get to those 15 minutes before the webinar is going to end. So around 3:45, we'll be taking questions from the audience. So please submit your questions throughout the conversation in the Q&A section, and we'll take those. Today we have with us Erica Pittman, and we have, yes, Erica.
Hi guys, I'm Erica Pittman. I am the CMO of Viola and the author of What Mommy Never Told You.
And then we also have Kobe Fuller.
Hello, great to be. Sorry. Hello, great to be here. I'm a partner at Upfront Ventures based in Los Angeles and also founder of a networking platform for Black professionals called Valence.
And then we also have Chad Easterling. Did I pronounce it right? And you're on mute.
Yep. You're correct. Chad Eastling. Managing director for a newly created agency called 8788. With that really focuses on, creative marketing and content.
Perfect. And then last, we have the lovely Niecy Nash with us today.
Hello, everyone. Y'all know me. Out and makes movies. So.
And moderating the panel with us, with me today, is going to be William P. Miller. He's one of the co-founders of the Black Table, along with myself, Nina Wright. And I am the co-founder and CEO of Wright Productions. It's a special event production company. And William, you want to take it from here?
All right, thanks so much, Nina, appreciate it. And welcome everyone. We're really glad to have you here at the Black Table Forum. First of all, we want to let you know what the Black Table is. We're a collective group of event professionals. Our purpose is to elevate the presence and positioning of Black event professionals worldwide. So we came together over a year ago, and we're making some great moves and strides in the special events industry, and we're glad that you joined us today. And so as we begin our forum, we know that we're here today in this situation of COVID, and here in Los Angeles, we're about ready to close back down, but that's okay. We can certainly overcome that. And so I'm gonna take this to you, Niecy. Have you, during this time, it's very important for us to be resilient. And we certainly have an accountability to stay focused and make a decision to overcome the situation that we're in to the best of our ability. Can you share on your personal journey going from where you were to where you are now today? Can you share a little bit about the importance of being resilient and the accountability to do so, and what that means to you?
Well, in my personal journey, I will begin by saying, thank God I don't look like what I've been through. Because there have been so many times that I've had to press the reset button to begin again. And also, accountability to me is a two-parter, because one, you are accountable to yourself, and then you also have a tribe who holds you accountable. So it is important to me, having to have set the reset button many times, career-wise and in my personal life, to be true to myself, to be honest with myself, and to surround myself with other people who call me out on it when I'm not.
Love that. Love that. Love that. Mina, did you want to add to that?
No, I think that was amazing, and I just wanted to kind of swing it over to Kobe. So Kobe, You recently launched an initiative on your platform, Valence, and I want you to just give us a little bit of a background on what Valence is, and then also the platform that you just launched is basically holding investors accountable in regards to funding Black founders and Black businesses. What are you specifically doing with that initiative, and how can we hold others accountable in that same light?
Yeah, so I'll give, as fast as possible, a background on what Valence is. Essentially, it's an idea I had about 2 years ago where I was essentially frustrated there wasn't one central digital platform and also physical event experience that better connected the global population of Black talent in a way where we can easily find, connect, and build with one another. Valence is a chemical term that means combined power. And I realized that if we actually had this easy to navigate network of our community, how amazing would that be in terms of our ability to actually build and strive and grow as a community? And then I realized as well that there is also a world of people that want to be a part of the Black community, where they want to hire from the Black community or fund the Black community. And for one reason or another, there was a statement that was said where I just have no idea where to find them. I have no idea where to find Black founders. I have no idea where to find Black board members. I have no idea where to find Black leaders. And I was pissed off by hearing people say that. So I wanted to actually create a mechanism by which there's no excuse when someone actually had a statement around they wanted to actually fund or hire or be able to just better integrate the Black community. Here would be a place in which you could do so. So fast forward to where we are right now, we have roughly 10,000 Black professionals on the platform, really no marketing behind it. And we have this overarching mission. We want to actually connect talent with economic development and opportunities. And the funding network concept was something that was there from the very beginning around how can I actually take the venture community, the dollars that are there, and funnel it more programmatically to Black founders. And for me, it was basically a concept around, if I created this network of Black founders, of Black talent, I should then start putting the capital on that network too. So I pretty much just texted and emailed 30 prominent investors that I know in Silicon Valley and beyond and said, hey, you're starting to make these statements that you want to fund more Black founders, be members on Valence. Let's take the billions of dollars of VC capital that are out there and actually better integrate it and actually have connection points with founders who want to have access to it. So to me, it was, how can I actually have a high-speed ticket put in the hands of founders to chat with some of the people that control most of the capital that goes to founders, period. And also try to retrain the narrative around what it means to actually invest in talent. We should be investing in diverse talent of all kinds. So why should we be thinking about, let's peel off a pool of capital over here just for Black people? Let's actually have access to all the capital, is my opinion. And that's what this funding network concept is. Essentially, if you're a member of Valence, you can right now go and directly hit up roughly 30 VCs on there. They're waiting to be hit up, to be quite honest. And I have pretty much inbounds from almost every investor that matters in the country that wants to actually be on the platform too, because they want to connect with Black founders. That's the overarching initiative. It's kind of an initial stab towards trying to create systematic sort of connection points. And we're still at the very beginning, but I'm hopeful that it actually can drive some change.
Kobe, I have to say that I think in this moment, you're like my new favorite person. But the crazy thing about our community is that I have often heard people say, I don't know where to find Black that, Black whatever. I'm doing a project right now, and I said, I would prefer to have people that look like me in the writer's room. And someone genuinely said to me, I just don't know any of those people.
Right.
Yeah. And I was,
something that they
cannabis.
Say.
I just took a note because I'm dealing with the same thing, Nisi. I'm like, wait, he has 10,000 opt-ins. Maybe there's some talent there for me for cannabis, because it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. So with that being said, Kobe, how could they find out more information of how to get involved in Valence?
So you can just go to valence.community and request to join. So it's invite only, or you can request access. And if you request access, you'll get permitted unless there's something really wrong with you, and you get on the platform. So it's very, very simple.
Right. And so with that being said, Chad, because I agree with what you're saying, Nisi, that you know, we've always heard people say, I didn't know you exist, or I forgot about you, I didn't know. So Chad, what steps can people take to make themselves known, or to not make it easy for people to overlook them? Do you have any recommendations on that?
Yeah, so you know, for me, I think it's and one, you know, I've heard a great amount about Valen, so you know, definitely congrats, you know, to everything you guys are doing over there. But also, I just think, you know, for everybody who feels like, you know, they do get looked over, I think the other side of that is really being proactive in their approach to really trying to put themselves out there, and also trying to make sure that they're being strategic on how they are even like approach and experience. Because for me, you know, I know that I am very much you know, I'm very strategic on not really being as public as other people. But I know how important it is, you know, and I also am aware that, like, you know, oftentimes the best teacher is experience. So when you miss that chance to get an opportunity, you don't have an opportunity to gain the experience to really move forward. But I really think it's a matter of being strategic on your approach, making sure that you're being proactive about it. And then also just trying to, like, Nisi touched on this earlier, but that community is a big part to really making sure that, you know, other folks are able to put you in a position to really receive an opportunity. And I think that's also, you know, bouncing back to Valence, that's where that community is so strong, because, you know, oftentimes people do say that, and your community and your peers are the ones who say, hey, you know what? Erica will be a great person for that, or Kobe will be a great person for that. So I think that's another big part to really combating oversight, is identifying that community and being proactive about what you want and putting it out there.
Because I'm just wanted to jump in and say that I feel like I have been around so many people that talk about it, but are not participating fully in it. So, you know, they don't hire, you know, African-American people to do this, that, or the other. But then we over here at your daughter's birthday party, and you know what I mean? You got a company full of people that don't look like anybody at the party, who you done hired to do the balloons and the cake and the this and the that and the whatever else. And so I think that we really have to purpose. We have to purpose to try to find companies, people that look like us, and spend our money there. We have to.
Right. You're right. You're absolutely right. And Erica, what is some of the things that you're doing within your industry that's helping to make difference for the Black presence in the cannabis industry?
Great question. We're doing a ton. So Viola is actually Black owned. Al Harrington, a former NBA player, started the company. It's named after his grandmother, Viola. She had glaucoma, and she was struggling with her eyes and in a ton of pain. And at the time he was playing in Colorado, and cannabis had just become legal. So he called up a couple of friends. What can we do about glaucoma? They said, I have something for you. He said, Grandma, would you be willing to try marijuana? And she's like, what is marijuana? Is that reefer? And he says, yes. And she's like, boy, I ain't trying no reefer, you crazy. And he's like, I promise you, Grandma, it's legal. You can try it. Nothing's going to happen. I hear it really works. So apparently they get her some sort of vape solution. She takes a few pulls from the vape. He leaves her alone and comes back about maybe an hour or two later, check in on her. He said that she was crying, and he's like, Grandma, what's wrong? And she was reading the words of her Bible. And she said, babe, I have not been able to see the words of my Bible in as far as I can remember. And so they both started crying, actually, because it was such a moving moment. And at that point, he realized, wait a minute, something else is going on here with cannabis. And he started to do some research and realized how it was affecting cancer patients and HIV patients. And he started a medicinal company in Colorado, and it's now grown to a multi-state operation. But the company is rooted, the ethos is in legacy, family, and heritage. So we do a lot of purpose-driven work to drive social equity from an economic standpoint for Black people specifically. So people that have been disenfranchised by the war on drugs, people that have been put in jail for petty, nonviolent cannabis crimes, and just individuals that have been disadvantaged in terms of finding capital and access to opportunity. We're figuring out ways to educate and create incubation opportunities in cannabis for Blacks. So we're doing a ton.
I love that. I love that. I love that. In that industry, is there a lot of room for Blacks to get involved in that industry?
Absolutely. Less than 5% of cannabis company owners are Black or African American, where I think it's 82 to 87% are Caucasian.
Wow, that's wonderful.
And
So now,
82% of the drug-related arrests in Black and Latino communities are cannabis-related.
wow.
So imagine that. People are still going to jail but can't make money.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
So how can we as a community work to better change that? You know, less than 5%. So how can we as the Black community work to change that and hold others accountable and making sure that we are represented in larger numbers in the cannabis?
A great question, Mena. I think it's a destigmatization, if you will, if that's a word. It's just we really have to change the taboo around marijuana. We've been criminalized and dehumanized, quite frankly, for generations as a result of this plant. And there are categories now that are making billions of dollars, like Canopies of the world, the Curaleafs of the world. There are super large cannabis companies that are global at this point. And, you know, they caught on to the opportunity, but unfortunately our community is still afraid. We still have this taboo against it. So I think really educating and understanding the efficacy of the plant in terms of what it really does have medicinal effects from it. And I hate to be, I'm no doctor, but from an anti-anxiety, anti-depression standpoint, there are real solutions that are natural and alternative that we have to educate our people on.
And then to that point, Kobe, we were just talking about, you know, how less than 5% of, you know, African Americans represented in the cannabis industry. And, you know, studies show that less than 5% of Black founders actually have access to, you know, venture capital. What are some of the pathways that Black entrepreneurs can take in regards to getting funded? And, you know, what needs to be done within the industry to improve those statistics?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I think it's actually less than 1%, which is pretty horrible. And well, first and foremost, the way I look at venture capital, it's a pretty specific product. And if you're an entrepreneur, I think you need to take a step back and realize, do I need this product? Do I actually need venture dollars? I think lots of people, when they have an idea, are quick to run to like, oh, I should just go to whatever VC down the road and see if they can give me $500,000, $1 million, or whatever the dollar amount is to get my business off the ground. But I look at the process of whether you should take VCs being one where you've already gone through this exercise of really getting clarity around what your product is, what's your end market you're actually selling into, and to actually get enough data around whether you actually have product market fit, how much capital do you need to actually get to that milestone, to actually show that this is actually deserving of business that actually gets this, you know, should have dollars more put into it and get to scale. And some businesses, frankly, like don't need VC money. They can be bootstrapped and get significant scale. Like some of the largest companies out there have gotten to where they are without taking any venture dollars. Like Valve's a big gaming company in Seattle, is fully bootstrapped. MailChimp's a big email marketing platform in Atlanta. It's bootstrapped. I think Fashion Nova has never taken a dime of venture capital. It's bootstrapped. So it's first and foremost, I would think like, do I actually need to have an investor on my cap table to allow me to get to where I need to go? But the case is that you actually do, it's then just coming to the table with like extreme clarity around what it is you need, how much do you need, and then who is the right investor for you that actually understands your business and actually would be someone you want to work alongside. And once you kind of have those pieces in place and you have a very clear picture of what it is you're trying to build, then that's the point in which you can go out and start talking to institutional investors where you're pitching your idea. And also it's really important to try to get as much as possible, like a soft introduction to a potential investor. And frankly, that's exactly why I created the funding network. So Valence creates that soft introduction. If you're on the platform, then you can actually send a note to someone there, and it's a lot better than hitting them up directly in their email inbox or frankly LinkedIn. They're actually there practically waiting to talk to Black founders. So that's kind of why I was trying to even sort of create a bit of a bridge around that mechanism.
Well, that's pretty interesting. I'm gonna switch gears for just a second and touch on something, Nisi, that you mentioned about spending dollars within the Black community. And one of the questions that come often, and I don't think this necessarily applies to you, matter of fact, I know it doesn't, but we hear that particularly a lot of celebrities and actresses and actors, once they reach a certain point, they work with agents that don't look like them, these particularly Black actors or actresses, and then a lot of their agents take their events, particularly to other people, white people, for the most part. I mean, you just have to just be blunt. They don't look like us. And they don't really recycle the dollars in our community. We're not called on to do their events. And even, let's say most recently, we spoke of it, you know, Nipsey Hussle's message was recycling the Black dollars. And unfortunately, his funeral, the planning of his funeral went to someone that posted a message to say, I didn't even know who he was, but she was glad to get the money. And the vendors that she used was not Black. So how do we stop that mindset with, or at least raise the consciousness of some of the, you know, Black actors and actresses and to just be more conscious?
I think it's a tiered approach. One, I think that in any business, you need to have a spirit of excellence by which you move.
Right. Okay.
And sometimes when you are learning a particular industry or skill set, depending on where you got the knowledge, might affect how you move in said industry. You can have a moniker that says, if I want something done right, I gotta hire this kind of a person. Or should I say this color person, which is not necessarily the truth. And I think that for me, and I'm gonna speak for myself, you know what I mean? I do have Black people on my team. My manager is Black, you know, I've had Black publicists. I don't know that I've ever had an event, William, that you didn't curate. And I always try to refer. I always try to say, here is another person, you know, and I think what ends up happening, you get referrals from people who don't look like you, and they're not going to refer people who look like you.
Right.
And if that's who you're around in terms of your team or, you know, whatever you got going, those are the people. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna always find a way to make sure somebody who looks like me is employed. I remember when I used to do a TV show years ago called Clean House. And I would stand out and I would say, I'm Nisi Nash and this is Clean House. And I would see hundreds of faces that did not look like me. And one by one, I started to refer people. Oh, I know somebody who can add to this. I know somebody for that. I know some, and it took a minute. But one day I got up there and I said, I'm Nisi Nash. I looked around, I said, baby, it's looking like a plantation up in here. I love it. Took me some time.
Love it.
But I had to systematically do, and I've never gotten a job and not gotten somebody else that looked like me a job, ever. I don't care if it's a PA, a grip, a sound, a light, you wrote a song, baby, come over here and sing it. Because I think little by little, if we're all doing a little, it'll eventually add up to a lot.
Oh.
And I'm actually going to piggyback off of what Nisi says, is I don't think it's just talents and actors, right? Because, you know, I was at Nike, so I was in corporate America for over a decade. And while there, you know, it goes back to like, you know, all the different vendors that we used to have to hire. And you really have to, I think, put in the extra effort to really find people who look like you to do jobs sometimes, because one, you want to make sure the right people want to do right by you. But I think the other thing is, you know, you want to make that you're putting them in the right position. And, you know, to Nisi's point, I do think it really time to really get to that place of finding and building your network of people who you can begin to put on different jobs. But, you know, I definitely don't, I think that's across the board in many industries that, you know, you typically just hire non-folks who look like us.
You know, and Nisi said something else too that I think segues to another subject in totality. But when you said, you know, if you want something done right, you know, go through X, Y, and Z, right? We all culturally, we have a tendency as Black people to just intrinsically not support each other. I've heard so many times, you know, someone has a new product line. Nisi has a new lipstick. I'm gonna go get the Chanel lipstick. I don't need the Niecy Nash lipstick. Buy the Niecy Nash lipstick. Why not? It's a $20 lipstick. Niecy Nash is launching a lipstick. Just buy it and try it. You know what I mean? And we don't have this mentality where we want to give each other an opportunity to succeed. And, you know, I talk about this a lot when we talk about the African-American buying power. The African-American dollar is worth spending power is worth $1.7 trillion in this country.
Wow. Right.
We are the 15th largest GDP in the world, higher than Mexico.
Wow.
Black people spending
Right.
money in America is higher than some countries, right? So we have this really robust spending power, but we're not spending it with each other.
Yeah.
So when you look at other communities, like Asian communities, for instance, their dollar stays in their community for about a month, just shy, maybe about 28 days or so. I believe Jewish people somewhere between 16 and 18 days. And, you know, white people might be around that. African Americans, our dollar stays in our community for 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine that? 8 hours. As soon as we get it, we give it to someone else.
Yeah.
And it is because A, we either don't know where the businesses are within our communities that we can support, or B, we believe they're not the best option, so let me go somewhere else. But if we just one person at a time support each other, buy one lipstick, support one agency, one event planner, we start to recycle the money within our community.
Right. Right.
But I also think that there is a part of that that has to do with how, as a whole, we see ourselves. I'm not talking about individually. I'm talking about the collective. Because if you believe that your people, that your community, that your products are innately better, you will buy them because you feel like they're better. Why? Because we like how we do it. But if you have been raised in a system that says how others look, where they live, and what they drive, and what they this and that is better, you say, well, I'm gonna get the better, not knowing that you was already better.
You were already better.
And so when the collective misses the better, we think that we're buying outside of our community things that will pull us up and elevate us, and we miss the whole point.
Love it. I think that those are, all of that is very good. They're very good points. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to ask you this here, Chad. Bozoma St. John was on, and she said that it's now a good time in these current environment that we should storm the council, you know, to break down what's going on in the C-suites. And I would just be interested in hearing your perspective on that. Like, what is storming the council, and how would one go about doing that?
I mean, I'll say this. Like, I think I'm all about storming the castle, but I also think it's a matter of doing it strategically. And I think it's a matter of like really being in, like, you got to take a step back and really manage your expectations and figure out what you want when you are trying to, you know, storm the castle. And I think, you know, there are individuals who are making those steps alongside Bose, like Erica, like Kobe, like myself, you know, like Nisi, like everybody who's in this panel. So I think it's, and Nisi said it, it's a group effort, you know, so, you know, you really got to make sure there's some type of goal or objective or agenda as you are going down this path, so that the outcome can be what you want, you know. And I think that's to me, that's one of the biggest things when we begin to speak about how do you begin to impact the C-suite and impact corporate America, is like really being strategic about it, finding the people to align with, so that it's more strength in numbers instead of just doing it as, you know, on your own kind of thing.
I think when she says storm, go ahead, Kobe, go ahead.
The way my brain kind of looks at it, it's totally different coming from the venture entrepreneurship angle, because all day long I see some random person with an idea come out of nowhere, and suddenly people are riding scooters all over the streets. I mean, that stuff happens the way the world actually works in today's sort of innovation economy. So for me, like, I'm thinking, how do we forget about storm? We could storm the castle, but I'm thinking, how do we also start building castles? How do we start thinking about the way in which we actually start looking at the boardroom, where it's like, why do we are asking for one seat? Why don't we actually have, we build the table, we control all the seats, we can determine who we actually invite to the actual table. Like, why does our mentality always focus on, why don't we think about how we leverage the $1 trillion of buying power from our community and start enacting sort of systematic change and really start controlling the way things work? Like, that's possible, but it takes the mindset around, you know, just going about doing that. And we'll get there, but it takes sort of these leaps around having sort of the faith and also just desire to think, how can I create something that's mine, that's ours?
Right.
Sure.
I mean, that's kind of what we did with the Black Table, you know, coming together and saying, you know, and with Valence, it's like creating our own and not necessarily saying that we have to have a seat at their table. It's creating our own tables and understanding our economic buying power. And I think it just starts with education. You know, I think we have to start to educate ourselves and each other more about what our power is and take that power back and start to do that, and we can start to see some sustainable change. But it's just, it's about having these type of discussions, you know, so more people are aware of what our power is.
Yeah.
So Erica, I know that you've recently written a book.
Oh, do you guys want to hear about my book?
Yeah, you're an author.
I am like a new mom with her obnoxious baby pictures. So I have no children. This is my first baby. And I'm like, would you like to see her?
Yeah.
It took me 12 years to write this book. So I'm very proud that I finally have a living, breathing thing. But yeah, I wrote a book, which is 2 parts memoir, 1 part self-help. It's called What Mommy Never Told You, A Woman's Guide to the Next Phases of Life. And basically, throughout my career, I've had a lot of questions about how I got here, you know, my humble beginnings, growing up, the decisions I made, transitioning, how did I end up working for Puff? All these different things come up, right? And I said, you know what, I kind of need to put this all down in one place. And I started to tell my story from start to where I am today. And with each chapter, I just talk about what I've learned and, you know, how people can apply some of these experiences to their own lives without stumping their toes, because I've certainly stumped my own. And yeah, and then that's pretty much the gist of it. I think, Amina, have you read it?
Yes.
I talked about it. Yeah.
Yes, I have like worksheets and
But before we moved on there, you lightly touched on that, and I'm going to put you on the spot here. You said when I worked for Puff, what would you say the top 3 things that you learned from their journey of working for him and running his company?
This is the 5th time I've had this question this week. That's very interesting.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's very funny.
Okay.
So there are a couple things that I learned from Sean Combs that I will be eternally grateful for. The first thing is and it sounds so Pollyanna, but he taught me that anything is possible. I mean, like, you know how, you know, the Wright brothers created the airplane, or I want some metal to fly in the sky. And it's like, what are you talking about? That's impossible. And all of a sudden we have one, right? Or the light bulb, or just some of these really magnificent innovations in life. There's a certain intestinal fortitude in a human that can produce something out of nothing. And that is essentially, that's the ethos of who Sean Combs is. And he drills that in you like a drill sergeant. Yes, you can. It can get done. We can figure it out. We only use 10% of our brain. Of course we can figure this out. And over the years, I've been conditioned to just figure it out because everything's possible. The other thing is, he really taught me the power of being an intelligent, grounded Black person and what that means in a lot of these rooms, and how you can take command of your ask, of the deliverable, and get exactly what you want out of life. He does not take no for an answer from anyone. And we have together done some groundbreaking deals that I never thought were even possible, quote unquote. And so he showed me the power of being Black and being excellent. And I think the third thing is really what can't stop, won't stop really means. And it's just tenacity against all odds, just pushing through no matter what. And that's just who he is through and through. So.
Wow. Love that. And Chad, HBCU graduate, is that right?
Which one?
Yeah. Went to Hampton.
Oh yeah, the other HU. I love to pick on you guys.
We can, yeah, look, it's all love. We can argue about that another day.
We're not going to.
It's all, but you know, it's okay. We're going to go back to the question.
I didn't go to either one. I just like to
all right, we good then. We good. Yeah, we in the clear then. I can let you slide.
I'm neutral. Peace.
So in the corporate setting at Nike, where you spent quite a bit of time there, for entrepreneurs and people that are just starting out in their business, what piece of advice could you give someone that would help them start to be strategic, as you talked about?
Yes, it's funny. Like I'm actually the advice that I would be giving them is the same advice that I'm actually going through and living every single day as I'm going through my side of entrepreneurship. And I think for me it's two big things. One is really be a sponge, really like take it all in, really listen, and really try to like take in as much information as you can. And then the other part to that is, as you take it all in, really begin to identify, what you think will set you apart. And, one of my friends always says like, what you think your superpower is, because I think once you really begin to get that information in and you figure out what's going to set you apart, that's when you have a better way to really cut through and really stand out. Yeah.
Kobe, I just wanted to ask you this question, just to piggyback off of what Erica was talking about in regards to some of the lessons that she learned from working with home. It sounds like, rules just didn't apply, right? Anything is possible. And, that's kind of like the model that one of the lessons that she learned from him. So as a collective, what rules should we, like as Black people, should we be breaking right now to advance forward in tech, business, entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I'm just really focused on is just, if we're thinking about as a collective, how do we really grow as a collective? We gotta stop this crabs in the barrel mentality that's been plaguing us. We need to reverse that to the point where we are so focused and excited and obsessed with helping each other that it's almost like we're competing on who helps someone else the most in our community. And like, we haven't done that. So how do we actually create that mechanism? Almost like gamify it to a point where it's just like, well, that person gets celebrated because they had that many sort of, we call them boosts and valence, but that many sort of assists they had for the fellow people. And so I kind of look at it as just like, if you got cheat codes, don't like harvest those cheat codes, like share those cheat codes out, like share them everywhere. And what we're trying to do with Valence is take all those cheat codes and organize them in a structured manner where it's like, you need a cheat code for that, go here. And if we're able to share each other's cheat codes rather than like, oh, I got these for myself and therefore I'm going to be sitting up on my ivory tower looking down at you. No, that's not how this should work. If we all just work together, we all grow together, and we should celebrate when someone else has success versus kind of in the corner like, like, why is that person doing so well? Like, we should just be obsessed with everyone succeeding because we all succeed in that case. So I think if we're able to get to that mindset, so much more is possible.
I love that, Kobe, that we should be a part of celebrating all of our success, because when one wins, we all win. And Nisi, you went from being a cheerleader at Gardena High School to now having a star on the Walk of Fame, Emmy for producing, and twice nominated for acting.
Yeah.
How does one go through their journey? I mean, did you just have the red carpet rolled out for you for your life? Did you have family members that just pulled you along and you were just able to walk into the room with the agents to make it happen? Or
does hell go with no, William? No, I had none of that. The one thing that I will tell you that I did to get from there to here is to believe what God stamped on the canvas of my imagination for my life. I believed it. When he showed it to me, when I saw it, when I felt it down in my yucca, I believed it. And that is the reason why it's not called them esteem and mama esteem and us esteem, because you have to believe that thing for yourself. And once I believed it, it didn't matter how many people were like, no, we don't want to work with you. No, we don't, see you as this or that. Or no, I think, my mother told me she thought I should be a nurse. It doesn't matter what anybody says when you lay hold on to your own vision for yourself. And if you want to start a collective, and if you want to be a marketing guru, and if you want to write a book, and you want to do this and that, the minute you say you're going to do it, you're going to know you're in the right place when all hell breaks loose.
Wow.
Because that is the telltale sign. Is can you manage the meantime? And the meantime is the time between it was deposited in your spirit and the time that it actually manifests and comes to pass. And so many people get weary in that gap. They don't have the support. Nobody believe in my dream. Nobody won't help me. But how can I do that and I got a job? How can I do it and I got a baby? I was the only one of my peers taking 3 kids to auditions and putting them in the corner and setting it up like a little preschool. You get a baby the graham cracker. Who got the crayons? What is going on? I had to do all of that because I believed the call on my life. So no matter what it is you're doing, to me, that is the first ingredient. And the 3 words that I live by in trying to walk it out were no matter what. No matter if I got to go to an audition crying, you know what I mean? Because I'm on my 2nd or 3rd husband. Don't judge. No matter if I got to take all these kids with me when I get down there, no matter if nobody believes in me, I stayed on the path. And eventually, the universe conspired to meet me where I was. And it's a long way from being a cheerleader at Gardena High School.
You definitely were preaching right now. A lot what you said was just like, whoa.
I just took a whole note, about the meantime. I'm about to go journal about the meantime. Journaling about the meantime.
That part.
Wonderful. Amina, I see you have a lot of questions. You want to go to one of the questions?
Yeah, actually, before we transition, I just wanted to ask Chad one more question. And actually, this could be open to all of you guys before we transition to Q&A. What tools have you personally implemented into your daily lives that have helped you achieve success?
What tools have we, I missed the end of it.
Into your daily lives that have helped you achieve a success?
I can jump in there. There's
Yeah.
a couple of things that I've learned in the last couple of years through a good now friend, mental performance coach named Trevor Moad, who's helped like the Russell Wilson and Serena Williams. And he preaches this whole notion of really trying to remove negativity and negative thoughts, because there's data points that show negativity as a 10x multiplier on your mindset, your performance, and positivity. So his angle is like, it's all about neutral. If you can actually find a way to be in neutral, then you will be in a much more better mental state than if you try to focus on what's like advanced like calculus, which is getting to positivity. Like, there's no way you can get to positivity if you're already in this rut and mentally watch news in the morning that says the world's burning down and think you're suddenly going to have a great day. No surprise you're thinking you had a bad day because you've consumed all this negative content in the morning. So he basically preaches, try to get to neutral. And then 2, there's also these data points around if you actually articulate negative thoughts out loud, there's a 4 to 7x multiplier that the negativity actually will have another effect on your life. So just not saying negative facts and negative things out loud is a basic thing you can latch onto around how to optimize your performance, your mindset. So that's one tool I go about doing, is just like, don't say dumb stuff. Don't say negative things out loud. And it's very simple to practice. And if you see it, if you actually do it, it actually has a really good outcome and benefit that I've been finding.
And then another one I would throw in there is, you know, especially during times like this, like be adaptable and nimble and be open. I think, you know, what we've all learned during this what we call multi-layered pandemic right now is like, you really have to, you know, keep an open mind because, you know, the world stopped and some folks didn't know what to do next. So you really wanted to make sure you were putting yourself in a position to, you know, see around the corner and keep yourself adaptable enough to pivot and figure out how to approach something in a different way. So I think it's really a mind state of like really keeping yourself in a place where like you're open to reapproaching something, looking at something differently, or even like receiving something in a way where it can change and shift your view so that like you're able to go in that other direction. I think that's been one huge unlock for me.
I feel like for me, it would be two things. One is to be willing to be wrong. Because a lot of times, especially as Black women, we got this thing where we got to have it all together. We got to know all the things and all the parts and all the things. And you know what? Sometimes you just don't know everything. And that's okay. And to be able to not have to be right all the time and to not have to have the answer all the time. There is a liberty in that in one respect, and there's also a place of growth that can manifest in your life on the other hand of it. The other thing that I lean into is saying no. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I don't want that. No, I'm not going.
Always a full
And I
sentence.
love it because we don't give ourselves permission enough. We always doing some stuff that don't serve us. And then we complain about it while we driving over there. Well, then why did you say you was going to do? Well, I know, but you know, I'm going to go on. No, I'm not. I'm not going on. I'm not doing nothing that does not serve me. And the word no tastes so delicious in my mouth these days. Sometimes I just say it for no reason. No.
Like a 2-year-old. No.
Because I like it.
It feels good. I always say no is a full sentence.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Well, thank you guys for that. We're going to go take some questions from our audience. And the first question would be for Kobe. Well, actually, I don't know what happened to that question.
While you're looking for that, Femina, I'm going to ask this question to Erica because people are wanting to know, will your company eventually expand to other states such as Nevada? And how do they get involved in your incubation program? And then Valence, not Valence, the company you work for, do they have like their names on their shops, or if people wanted to support your stores and your business, how would we know that we're supporting a company, your products and services?
So is that, okay, I know the back half was for Kobe, it sounds like.
No, that was for you. All of it was for you.
Oh, it's for me, okay.
Yeah.
So we are, to answer your question, we are currently operating in 4 states, which is Michigan, Colorado, Oregon, and California. We have 11 licenses in total in the country. We recently applied for licenses in Illinois and Oklahoma, which we just won, and Maryland, we just won. So as the licenses become available, we are applying for them and we'll continue to expand. Our goal is to expand in Arizona, which is why I smiled, and Nevada. So we're working our way out that way. And the way to get involved, I think, is, you know, unfortunately, it really is just staying close to the company because things are ever evolving. Federal legislation hasn't actually legalized cannabis, so it is a state-by-state compliance. And as the category expands, we will continue to expand with it, and there'll be new opportunities. So stay close to our website, which I think I posted in the chat, but it's violabrands.com. Sign up for our mailing list, and we can deploy out communications as we get new news.
A question from our audience. about the eye-opening over the systematic racism. A woman in BC in Los Angeles, she is Asian descent, told this audience member that it's a natural instinct that investors invest in companies with founders looking like them. She was very hurt about this and wanted to know how many Black-owned businesses do you project to invest in?
How many Black-owned businesses I project to invest? As many as possible. I mean, honestly, it's partially why I created Valence. To me, it's partially helping me serve the need of creating a honeypot of the best companies to invest in. So how many? I mean, I invest in 2 companies a year. So ideally, in a way in which I maximize as much as possible, invest those 2 companies being Black founders. So I can't put a number against it, but putting programmatic effort towards finding the best founders to back.
Okay, and then to piggyback off of that, what Black companies would you recommend to invest in? This sounds like maybe someone should email you.
Investment advice.
Put your email in the chat. Or what's one of the best platforms for Black people to use to find companies to invest in?
To find companies to invest in. I mean, it's a tough question for me to answer, because in terms of how I manage investments, like I don't go to the websites or platforms, and I actually don't invest in the public market, so I'll be the worst person to ask that. So I'm honestly the worst person to ask for investment advice, being an investor, if I were to be candid. But yeah, so
And then last question for you, Kobe. What are investors most looking to invest in right now during this time? What are some?
So I think part of, there's a lot of trends that have come out during, obviously, COVID and changing behavior. If you look at some of the consumer trends, like for instance, fitness and at-home fitness has been exploding as people aren't going to the gyms. Anything that has to do with virtual, so virtual events, virtual technology, the fact we're able to do this meeting over Zoom, this has basically catapulted us at least like 5 years ahead in terms of being comfortable doing something like this. So if you think about how you can apply virtual towards a different certain business segment or consumer behavior, there's lots of excitement in and around that. I mean, those are the 2 things that probably pop up to the top of my head that are, investors are super excited about right now.
William, did you want to?
Yeah, I have a question. So this is for Chad. We got this question, and I certainly do understand it. We're living, as Kobe just said there, we're in this computer environment, and we see that, people on Instagram, and they're starting to develop a lot of partnerships with corporations, as in Instagram influencers and things like that. What is the best way to establish like corporate partnerships for influencers or with brands and things like that?
Yeah, so I think so much of that really goes back to really building and establishing relationships with individuals that are in the brand, and really begin to figure out how you position yourself in the brand to really align with their objectives. All brands, whether you're talking to individuals or whether you're talking to other brands for partnerships, they're always looking to make sure that whoever they're aligning themselves with is aligned with their objectives and whatever it is they're trying to, get after for their goals. So I really think it's those are the biggest things, is really identifying, the brand, positioning yourself so that you fall in line with what they are trying to get after, and then trying to build and establish relationships with them.
Love it. Mina?
Yes, we have a question for Nisi. Nisi, do you have any suggestions on bridging the gap between Black designers and celebrities, particularly when it comes to red carpet events, especially those events catering to Black people, for example, the NAACP Awards?
I just think that at the end of the day, the stylist is the gap. It bridges the gap between talent most of the time. And so I know for me, I've had it happen a couple of ways, where I've had someone bring me something and specifically say, this is from a Black designer. I've had Black designers. You know, a lot of important things goes down in the DMs. Okay. It's not just foolishness. And in my DMs, I've had Black designers reach out to me who I ended up wearing. So I just think that, you know, you want to feel good and you want to look good when you step out there. And if the person who makes that dress looks like you, all the better. And you could also, as talent, ask specifically your stylist to bring you options from people who look like you. Mm-hmm. That's what I do.
And another question for you, Nisi, is it a good time for actors of color in the industry because of the need? Is it a good time right now for actors of color in the industry because of the need for diversity in the industry? I mean, I think.
Listen, okay, we gonna go on and be honest with family, right?
Yes. They
want everything that's Black right now. They want everything and they want everybody because Black is the new Black. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And everybody wants to be able to say, look, we got some.
No, we love Black people. Look.
You know, they want to be able to say that they got it on the network, that they got it on the station, that they got it on the platform. So it is an ideal time. Even though we're in COVID, people are still curating projects that will come out on the other side of all this. But, you know, to be Black in entertainment right now, yeah, everybody gonna be working in 5 minutes.
So, Nisi, another question that we're getting: claws. Is it coming back, and what is the status of claws?
Claws is supposed to come back, as far as I know. We stopped down when the quarantine came, but we are supposed to go back to finish season 4. But season 4, once it's complete, is the 4th and final.
Mm-hmm. Actually, they're going to really miss that show.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I am supposed to go mentor some young Black girls right now. So I'm going to have to bid everyone farewell, but I thank you for having me. I learned so much. And everybody on this panel, I hope y'all don't get mad when I email you, because I'm getting everybody's email.
Never mad at anybody on the panel, please.
Because I got questions.
Yes.
Kobe, I got $5 I want to send to somebody. I got things to do now.
Thank you, Nisi.
Love y'all.
Great. Thank you so much.
And just to wrap it up, if you guys want to just give us some, last closing remarks, anything that we may have missed or didn't touch on, if you guys can give us just some last closing remarks. I'll start with you, Erica.
Well, I just said something on the text that I'll reread to everybody. I'm hearing a lot of comments of Black is the new Black, which is what Nisi mentioned, but I wanted to point out Black is the new Black today.
Yeah.
Trends come, trends go. Sound bites come, sound bites go. We're still trying to find justice for, our counterparts that are not necessarily being treated fairly in the system. And I say to our people that are following and watching, this is a use it or lose it moment. Make your mark now. The world is a lot slower. Everyone's watching. Everyone's looking for that new innovation. Make your mark now. This is the window of opportunity for us as people of color, and I can't predict how long that's going to actually be the case. So let's use it while we have it.
Thank you, Erica. And Kobe?
Yeah, I totally agree. Right now, just go hard, go fast. First and foremost, definitely take care of yourself. Make sure you're being smart, and you keep healthy and keep your family healthy, but realize the moment in time right now that can't be squandered. And let's do this together. Let's operate as a team. Let's not try to operate in silos as individuals. The more we can actually team together to actually drive change and drive progress, the more we'll optimize our success for getting to the other side in the way we want to. So that's 100% what we need to be doing here.
Awesome. And Kobe, I know you have to jump as well because you have another webinar that you're joining. So I want to thank you for joining us and all the nuggets that you shared with us. So if you have to jump, totally understand.
Thank you for organizing this.
Thank you so much, Kobe. Really appreciate it.
And
Yeah,
Chad.
and then the last thing I'd say is just really thank you guys for creating this platform for us to have this conversation. I think we definitely need more of these. It's really impactful, really helpful to really be speaking not only to the folks who are listening, but to this group of esteemed panelists who are having this opportunity to have a conversation and dialogue. So just thank you guys, the Black Table, for creating this forum and this platform.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kobe. And we at the Black Table, we to the audience that are there, we encourage you to follow us at the Black Table _. We're going to be doing more of these leadership forums every other week with other distinguished guests. And with Erica and Chad, you're still here. We really, really appreciate you. We appreciate your wisdom that you've shared as well. And I've taken my notes, and I'm just looking at the comments that are coming in, and everyone is saying thank you as well. So on behalf of our audience, we want to say thank you. And again, we just want everybody to stay connected to the Black Table. Again, our goal is to elevate the presence and positioning of Blacks within the special event industry. And that does not only include event planners, DJs, bands, whatever you have that relates to the special events industry. We want to get you out there and get you known as well. And Mina, I'm gonna let you close.
Yes, well, I want to close by saying, please, everyone, go purchase Erica's book.
Yes.
It is really good.
Let's say it again.
Mommy never told you. Like, I've read it probably. I'm on my second time reading it. It's amazing. So
Thank you.
Where can they find it? It's available.
Amazon.com. I added the link to the chat, but I can add it again. It's just Amazon.com. If you search by my name, you'll see the book that'll pop up. But I'll send you the link again.
Great. And Chad, do you have any other personal?
A lot of cheat codes.
No, I don't. No. Wait, you said I have any other person who is getting a hold of me?
Anything else coming up, that you want to talk about?
No, I'm working on some things that, but they'll come out soon enough.
Well, when you're ready, come back and talk to us about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
Well, thank you guys so much, and we appreciate having you guys on today and supporting the Black Table. And this was an amazing conversation. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
For sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.